Sorry, I'm freezing for the thumbnail. It is Gary.Raw, episode 9, and today we talk about prime and zoom lenses. Okay, right. So first of all, back it up. Yes, I know, it's not my traditional MO. Usually it is the black sunglasses that I come to know and love for this. However, due to my trip back from Cabo, I left them on the plane. So I'm trying to get them back. I'm really trying to get them back today. But in the meantime, it is back to these. I usually do these for like the car ride. Anyway, done. And again, I am back in good old Orlando, Florida. Or this is technically Winter Park. But yes, good morning. It is Sunday, April. Oh, jeez. It is sometime in April. And today, yeah, I totally forgot. It's Sunday. It's supposed to be a lazy day, but today, working. But we're gonna talk about prime lenses versus zoom lenses. I'm a particularly big fan of prime lenses because they're sharper. They don't have as much moving parts, so the lens is gonna be the image is gonna be a little sharper. But you can move focal length. So as far as for zoom lenses. But for prime lenses, I'm partial to the Nifty 50. I love the Nifty 50. I will always shoot the Nifty 50. Nifty 50 was like the first lens in my camera bag with my Sony. And then after that, I have a 20. I'm looking to get a 24 to 70, so that way I can like kind of move in the zoom range. But I'm always partial to prime lenses. Primes typically tend to be a little bit sharper. A little, not by much, but a little. They don't. A lot of people think that the ring on the front of the camera means that it zooms. That's not typically the case. There's 2 rings on a zoom lens and 1 ring on a prime lens. So the ring on the prime lens tends to just adjust the focus, while the ring on the zoom lens tends to adjust the focal length and the focus. What I mean by focal length is, let's say if you're shooting a subject that's far away, you want to be closer, you may adjust it to 70 millimeters rather than 24 millimeters. And on top of that too, it adjusts the point of view. So let's say if you are shooting at 24 millimeters, you're going to get everything in frame. But if you're shooting me again at 70 millimeters, you probably only get my eyeballs. But or like my face, but depending if you're like this close. Who would shoot at 70 millimeters this close unless you're at a macro lens? I don't know. We'll talk about macro versus landscape lenses on another day. But typically prime lenses tend to be a bit sharper, a little bit more for portraits. They also tend to have an f-stop that's low, very low, anywhere from like I want to say the lowest one I've seen is a 1.2, and that's a Canon series lens. But typically an like an f-stop would mean that like if you're at 1.2, your eyeball is like this big. I don't know if like a lot of people who are not photographers who are watching this channel know that if your eyeball is like this big, okay, so like the f-stop is like the size of like the iris that closes inside the lens. So if the lens says it can close at 1.8, it can probably be like this big, and then probably go all the way to 22, which is like a pin, which is pretty cool because then you can like adjust how much light comes in the lens, and it also adjusts kind of like when you change your f-stop, it changes the focus depth. So typically, if you're at an f4, everything's gonna be in focus, like the whole plane's gonna just even out. But then if you're at like a 1.8, it's gonna give you that like nice blurry compressed background. So typically like a lot of photographers will pay for the extra f-stop, and that's really what you're kind of paying for, is that tech or those extra parts to make sure that it does have that iris that moves to 1.8 or 1.4 or 1.2. Typically these are called faster lenses. Anything that's like f4 is not considered fast. But yeah, that's typically just because it can shoot in lower light conditions and things like that as well. So yeah, it's typically one of those things where you want a lower f, but on prime lenses, Zoom lenses, I don't have a qualm for zoom lenses. It's just I've shot with, when I first shot, it was with a kit lens 18 to 55. And it's not like I didn't like it, it's just it was on a crop sensor camera, and I wanted a full frame. I was being a little picky, but overall, prime lenses are typically used a lot for portraiture. A lot of people use them for different reasons, but typically the mainstay for prime lenses is portraits. And then zoom lenses typically can range from landscapes. Usually, I know a lot of people like to use like the 16 to like get that kind of fisheye because there's like distortion on the edges. But yeah, there's also a lens in the Canon L series line that is very good at doing headshots, and that's the 70 to 200, and that thing is a monster. But other than that, I think when it comes to doing like complex selfies, prime lenses are your way to go. But if you want to do like landscapes or like nature, you're gonna get those like nice zoom lenses, and those zoom lenses can help you like vary focal length if you want to get really, really close to something that's far away. Typically, like a lot of sports photography is like that, mainly because I can't shoot a football player in the middle. That'd be kind of cool on the snap. But other than that, this is Gary.Raw. Prime lenses, zoom lenses. Let me know what you think. If you're looking for a lens, hit me up. But yeah, this is supposed to be a Sunday fun day, and then this turned into a 7-minute vlog. But yeah, this is Gary with his morning coffee back in Orlando, Florida. So much.